Alright, so what if episode 4? I was originally going to review this when it came out. I thought the day's episodes came out at midnight. It don't come out till 2 p.m. Central Time. I'm like, I got tired. I think I'm going to bed at 2 o'clock. I was too tired. But here I am. About 10:15 in the morning, and here we go. So, the title is, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands? And if you can catch on to that, yes, he loses Christine, the girl, his love interest in his Doctor Strange movie. But, again, I seem to always have problems with these episodes. Like this. So, in this version of events, she goes with him to that award ceremony thing. And there's the car accident happens and she dies. And nothing happens to him at all. Like, he's not hurt or injured or anything. She just dies. Which, I guess, in a what if scenario like this, I guess it would work. But if she was the one driving, it would make more sense. They do that once in this, but so because of this, he goes on his journey to find the Ancient One and all that stuff, become the Sorcerer Supreme, which means he has a different motive. And he gets the Eye of Agamotto and the Time Stone, and he uses it to go back to save her. But every single time he tries, she still dies, because it is an absolute, or as we say in Doctor Who, fixed point in time, which means you cannot change it. I've always found that this is like the whole fixed point thing in Doctor Who is just a way for them to, because like they did it with Amy and Rory, right? And spoilers for Doctor Who, by the way. And they only did that fixed point thing there. I think they did it with Clara too later, but they did a fixed point because the actors weren't coming back, so they had to make up something, a reason why he couldn't save them, even though he should just be able to go back and save them. And this reason was they were leaving the show. Same thing with Clara, although they did do something pretty interesting with Clara at the end, but it's just like, yeah, fixed point. And here, they need him to become sort of an evil Doctor Strange. What I found interesting is that early on in this film, as he's doing his research, actually, he goes to this temple where because like the ghost or spirit of the Ancient One shows up and tells him, you can't do this, it's absolute point. And he goes, I read about another magician, or sorcerer, I should say, that did it, and I'm going to try to find it. And they sort of fight, and then he teleports himself away to this place where he meets this dude, takes him to this library of books, and as he's reading through, he can sense the Watcher, Uatu the Watcher, the host of the show. He can sense him. Someone there, because he's narrating, and he's like, is someone there? Like, it's interesting. What if that'll come back? It does. So he finds out that he has to absorb a bunch of mythical creatures, gain their power, and use that to go back and, reverse the absolute point. So, fixed point sounds better, so I'm going to call it that. But, let me find out that this Doctor Strange isn't the only one. So, when he had that little fight with the Ancient One, she split him in two, creating a separate timeline within the same universe, where he actually said no, and put the Eye of Agamotto down and joined Wong for tea. He wakes up the next day and everything is all wonky, and the spirit of the Ancient One shows up and tells him what's going on, and that he has to stop him. Wong uses a protection spell on Strange's face. And then the other Strange, I'll call him Evil Strange, captures him and says, we have to fuse together if I'm going to do this. He's going to do it. They have a fight. Eventually, the Evil Strange wins and absorbs him, becomes this monstrous creature, and saves Christine. But realizes what he has done as the whole universe is tearing itself apart. And then we finally have a confrontation between someone in the story and the Watcher, and he begs the Watcher to do something, and he's like, I can't, I have to stay neutral, I cannot interfere, it is not our way. You have done this, and you must, face your consequences. And it ends with the universe just gone. Just gone. It's probably the darkest ending in the episode so far. I mean, the last one had a dark ending with all the Avengers dead and Loki taking over the planet. But this one, interesting. Also, when Evil Strange starts to summon monsters, he summons this big octopus type creature. I wonder, is that the same creature from the first episode that Peggy Carter fought? Be interesting. From a different timeline perspective, I guess. Who knows? But, yeah, I'm sitting through this episode wondering how... I'm sitting there, I'm like, clearly the good Doctor Strange is going to change his mind or defeat him and put everything back to normal. And then when he absorbs him, I'm like, okay, so is the good Strange going to overcome inside before he does it? He did it. And I'm like, how are we going to reverse this? How are we going to stop? And then the Watcher shows up. Like, okay, the Watcher's finally going to step in and he's going to change. No. The world is destroyed in that universe. The dark ending. It's a pretty good episode. Although I feel like I need to gripe about something. The fixed point, as I mentioned, was used in Doctor Who as sort of a storyline input to write off characters. And they did it more than once. Here, they did it for the purpose that if it's too easy for them to go back and reverse it and everything. Because the whole point of this story is she dies and what happens when she does. So every single scenario, she dies. Even though that's complete and total bullshit, because in the original timeline, she didn't die. So, I don't understand how every single scenario, like, okay, think of it from the standpoint of Infinity War. He's going through a bunch of different realities, right? If he's doing this here, basically, there should be at least one where she is supposed to survive. So they sort of messed up the rules of time travel with this episode just to have this episode with this dark ending and this whole dark Strange. It doesn't work for me. Because if you've seen Infinity War, you know that he can go through many different timelines to find the at least one where she does exist. And if you say, oh, maybe he couldn't find one, bullshit. We know the original timeline, or at least our timeline, she does survive because she's not with him. And in this, it doesn't matter if she goes with him or not. There's a thing where like he drives, she dies. He tries it again, she dies again. Even though he's not being road rage, she still dies. He said, oh, let's stay for pizza, and she's like, come on, so take a different route. Still a car accident. And then there's another one where they make it to the place and she has like a heart attack. So she goes, oh. And she dies. So they decided to stay and have pizza. She gets shot. He doesn't pick her up. Her apartment building explodes. So that's what I mean. Like, when you go that far to show that no matter what he does, she's still going to die, it really doesn't work, because we know there is at least one scenario where she's not with him that she doesn't die. But we need to have her die, or this episode wouldn't continue. So that's kind of like, see, I've had problems with each of these episodes because they stretch things, kind of make it like they say one thing. Yeah, but the one thing here is that, what if she was with him when he had the car accident? That's the one thing. And then he makes several different decisions, several different choices, seven different things, and it still comes out the same way. That's ignoring the whole purpose of the show. Is, what if he changed one thing? He did change one thing. He left her behind. He tried to go a different route. No matter what he did, it still happened. So your premise of what if it changed one thing is complete and total bullshit. I think you need to find a different way around this. What if one thing changed? Because Peggy Carter staying behind in the room shouldn't have changed. I know I'm still on this. Shouldn't have changed when this guy launched his attack. Because I'm sorry, especially in the 1940s, a woman wouldn't have made him nervous to do it. You know? And in the second episode with the T'Challa, like, yeah, I get it. Having your subordinates pick up the wrong kid, but then why didn't you just take him back and get the right one? It just doesn't make any sense. This, you know? And then, I don't know, the third one really, one choice. What's one choice? Hiring Hope Van Dyne to be in S.H.I.E.L.D.? I don't know, it's kind of hard to pinpoint the one thing that changed in that episode. They need, like, if they get a season 2, stop with the one thing. Because it's more than one thing. It's completely changing everything, by the way. It just, even here, his reason for finding the mystic arts is to save Christine, right? But why would I don't understand how Christine dying would spur him. Like, his whole reason for wanting to find the mystic arts originally is because he wanted his hands back. Because he was a surgeon. He worked with his hands. He needed a magical way to do it. I just don't understand how Christine dying goes from that. I don't know. It's a very confusing episode. It's very confusing for me. But even with my complaints, it was still very good. I know I complain a lot about these episodes, but I think they're still done very well. They just need to get rid of the tagline, what if you changed one thing? Because it's not just one thing that changes, everything changes. If you sit there and you say, well, we changed one thing, and change one thing, have everything stay the same. Like I said in my T'Challa one. T'Challa is Star-Lord. So just do Guardians of the Galaxy with T'Challa instead of Quill. That's it. You don't need to make all the bad guys that Quill fought good, because it makes no sense, especially Thanos, who, even in the episode, still wanted to do his thing. He was talking to someone about it. It just... Stop with the, what if you change one thing? Because it's more than one thing that's changed. Yes, your one thing in this episode is that Christine was with him, but he even changes that by not picking her up and she still dies. That's not changing one thing. That's, what if no matter what Doctor Strange did, she still died? If she died in the original film, that would make more sense. Sort of. I know the one thing that would be changed, you know. But I don't know. Or if she was in the car with him. See, I don't know how it would be different. I don't know. But, yeah, this episode was good, but it just shows what frustrates me about this whole series. What if we change one thing, but you're changing a lot more than one thing, and it's very confusing. But what are your thoughts on episode 4 of What If? In the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.